This week, we are returning to the scene of the crime. So back it was November of 2019, I had the chance to attend VO North, and we brought Dervla Trainor onto the podcast, and we talked about, VO North FOMO. And that was sort of like, the fear of missing out on what was going to be just a fantastic weekend. VO North is back again, and so I thought it would be a great time to bring her back and talk again with Dervla Trainor. Hi.
Hi, thanks for
How are
having
you?
me.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too. It's been a while.
Well, I mean, November 2019, we had you on the podcast, and we had just come off, the second successful VO North event, and I think you and Tanya Buchanan were really onto something, and then all of a sudden, and we're not far off from COVID, and so this is kind of a roundabout way to sort of say, what have you been doing, throughout COVID to really sort of steer VO North through the pandemic?
Well, so we were fully planning to go ahead with a 2020 VO North, and we had the venue picked out, we had the contract signed, everything. We had started advertising it, and then COVID hit. So we made the decision to do that year online. And we rebranded as VO North Interactive because it was online. And we still use the venue for our tech team. So everyone was socially distanced. So we had 3 large rooms where everyone was spread out, but we had a team still of about 12 people just helping behind the scenes. So yeah, we did it online and it was great. We really wanted to keep it, again, as interactive as possible because we understood that online is just not the same as in person. So we kept a Zoom room open the entire conference weekend, and we called it the lounge. So you could just pop on anytime and see who else is there and just like have a chit chat with someone. We had exhibitors. We could pop on and talk to them too. We kept all of the sessions meeting style, and we really encouraged people in advance. Like, we'd let them know you're going to be on camera, and ask questions, get involved. And then right after the programming ended on Saturday, then we had a Zoom trivia night where people again, interactive. And then we had what do we call it? It was kind of speed networking. So we'd randomize people into rooms of 4 or 5 people for a few minutes, and then they'd they chit chat, and then they pop out, and then they'd get thrown into a room with other people. So it was enough people that the conversation kept going. It wasn't too small. But I had one woman, she said, I was like, should I? I don't know if she'll want me to say her name, but she said, at the start of the weekend on Saturday morning, I told my husband I'm just going to pop on for a minute or for like an hour or so. And she said, Sunday afternoon came and we were at the closing ceremony. She's like, my husband's complaining because I didn't leave the computer the whole time because there was just so much going on. So it was good. But at the core of VO North, why it started to begin with was, yes, like for people to learn and be able to grow their voiceover business, but to bring the community together. So in 2021, we decided just to take a break. And now we're back this year with in-person only, going back to our roots.
I, for one, like that. And by the way, a nice shout out to your people, your tech people, because I was doing, I think, a number of sessions, with you guys, and they said your lighting is terrible. And by terrible, it meant it only lit up half my face. So this sort of forced me to move the ring light to the center now, and so I've been doing much better.
It looks great. You've got a fully lit face.
I know. And by the way, this is the first time I've done a session with glasses because I can no longer see anything anymore. So some people are wondering, who's this guy? And I just got these glasses on now.
Well, the ring light placement, I mean, that's key. And most people that have glasses, they get the reflection, but yours is up. It must be up just high enough. You got it down. I'm impressed, Matt.
Well, I've had 2.5 years to get this right, and now I think we've got it right.
Yeah, it looks good.
And congratulations, by the way, for coming back and doing sticking with the community and making it a full in-person session. It's going to be taking place September 16th through the 18th. And off the top of your mind, what are you looking forward to the most at your own event?
Well, I mean, seeing everyone is going to be great. I love the opening ceremonies. We try to make it fun, and it really kind of sets the tone for the rest of the weekend. And it's everyone in the one room. Um, and then we've got a Saturday night industry mixer um, with a special cocktail. It's sponsored by Bidalgo. So Bidalgo's creating its own cocktail, and we'll have appetizers and such. But that should be fun too. It's offsite. We've never done that before. And then just the panels, the breakouts, the one-on-ones. Something I'm really proud of are the fact that we have one-on-ones. So you can schedule a time to sit with a casting director or an agent, like uninterrupted. So I feel like people are always really happy after they've done those. I just love when people end the weekend, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe how much value I got out of that. Cause that's really why we do it.
How's your voiceover business been going for the last couple of years through the pandemic? Because I know for a lot of people it changed. There's people who got into it. There's also some people who had to change. I remember March 2020. There was a lot of people who had never had a home studio. Now I know you have a home studio, and I have one. But have you seen any sort of discernible changes in the last couple of years?
I mean, there was definitely, there were a couple things so I think at the beginning, a lot of voice talent who have been doing this for a while might have been a bit nervous because a lot of actors who were now out of work because there isn't much on camera anymore, they jumped into voiceover. But I think what happened really was the voice actors who have been recording from home all along, we had those editing skills, we had the proper setup. So it affected business a little bit, but not too much. The style of voiceover at the very beginning, it was, we're in this together, and very emotive and more nurturing voice. And I can sound a little young and like I can sound, but I found that the style of voice I wasn't booking as much. But that's turned around now. So not too much. No, I think overall the voiceover industry, it's shifting. I initially got most of my success from online casting sites. I did quite well, but I think there has been an oversaturation of that market in the past few years. So there's a lot more competition. So yeah, it's shifting, but not just where the work comes from has changed.
So if you're listening to this right now, and one of the things that VO North I think really offers us an opportunity to put a face to the people, because so often people are working online, they're working at home. And you've mentioned a couple of things. So you mentioned casting, for instance. And so I think back to someone I think is also going to be attending is Liz Atherton, who's going to be. Yeah. And so you'll never get a better opportunity to meet Liz. You mentioned Bodalgo. So, which is, a company that is based in Europe, but in the past I've had a chance to meet Armin. And Armin and I have sat down, and he's very open, and we talk, and he's, he even showed a little podcaster trick, and I will put this into the show notes, and that's Bodalgo Call. You can actually record you can record a podcast between two people, and it's free. Now I don't know if he still offers it. I believe he does. And if he does, yeah. So this is, I think, one of the real benefits. And listen, I could break out and we can go over every single session, but that's ridiculous. You can anybody can go on to the website and see that. But you do have an editing session, by the way. I see. Expedite the editing. So the tips and hacks that are going to be saving you time.
Well, I mean, we try to basically cover every single aspect of a voice actor's career, right? From editing to finding your own clients, to technique, to marketing yourself, all that stuff, to finding an agent, to self-direction. The editing, like I've learned little tips and tricks here and there that have just, you learn it once and it just completely changes how you, your efficiency rate. So it's not the most glamorous talk, editing, but it can definitely be useful.
Everything adds up. You've even got one here for voice health. So I'll ask you while you're here, what do you do for voice health?
I've always had a lot of problems with voice, actually. My voice, I was just telling someone today, I have a very, I guess, delicate voice. So I own a steamer. And I think if you're even like in radio as well, I mean, if you're using your voice, I think it's like a little Vicks steamer, and I'll steam, just try to stay hydrated. That really helps. Late night partying does not usually help. Like even if I notice that if I have some wine the night before, it like there's something in wine where it can congest you a little bit. So if you are, having a drink or two, there's just a lot, just depending on how much sleep I got the night before. There's a lot of things that affect vocal health. So I'm actually looking forward to sitting in on that session to help so I can learn what are the best ways to maintain so that I sound the same, because I sound very different in the morning, afternoon, and evening. But sometimes day to day, I sound different too. And it's been a bit of a struggle, not a struggle, but like a learning curve throughout my career to try and figure out what is it that keeps me in that voice range and what affects it. Yeah.
So there's another podcast that's come out, episode 20,000 Hertz, Bev Standing. Has made an appearance on the podcast, and this is sort of twofold here that I'm going to mention here when it comes to Bev, because you have a session at this, which I think is very important and is going to be very popular. And I see that you've allotted over an hour to it, and that's AI, pricing and protecting your voice in the wild west world of voiceover.
Yeah, that was I love creating the names. Do you know Westworld?
No.
It's a TV show. Oh, it's quite a popular TV show. So I said the wild, wild west world of VO, because it's got a cowboy themed element sort of thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
But yeah, AI is it's a hot topic right now, and not a lot of people know much about it. So it was a bit of a challenge finding speakers for that, because we wanted people who do know, who are tapped into that. And because it is such a wild, wild west right now, there aren't a lot of experts, but we did find them, and I'm also looking forward to that panel just to learn where the direction it's going in.
I would have no idea. In fact, sometimes I'll get an AI job, I won't even take it or acknowledge it because I'm afraid of where it will go.
Yeah.
First of all, it's hard to price, and then the second thing is, how do I know this isn't going to wind up somewhere that I'm not going to be able to hear?
Standing, the voice of TikTok, they just ripped her voice off.
Yeah. And that's now a podcast episode from 20,000 Hertz, and the show notes are in the show notes. I'll connect you to that if you want to listen. It's a 20-minute listen, and it's not only an interesting listen, it is a very important lesson for people in voiceover and how your voice is used.
Yeah.
Tell me about getting together with Pantages Hotel.
It's great. So the last venue we were in was lovely, and it had a ton of personality, but we wanted somewhere that still has that boutique vibe, but is much more suited to holding a conference. So we're taking up the entire third floor, which is the conference floor. The bedrooms are beautiful. They're nice, big, spacious, bright, newly renovated. And Christina, our contact there, has been lovely to work with. We wanted it downtown because if people are coming in from out of town, a lot of these conferences, you fly in from the airport, you go to a hotel right by the airport. So you've come all this way to a different city that you've never been to, and you're not even seeing the city. Whereas we're right by Yonge Dundas Square, which is the equivalent of Times Square. And there's lots happening. And that's why we're having the industry mixer offsite as well in Kensington Market, which is pretty legendary in itself, because we want to bring those people outside of the conference and get to experience Toronto. So we thought it was a very fitting location.
So you have some of the standard panels that I think we've seen, every year, but things do evolve. So I'm thinking about CRMs, and I'm thinking about SEO, and I'm thinking about websites. So some of these things do come up, every year. But tell me a little bit about some of the you have these intensives, and I'm going to guess that the intensives are all sold out anyway, but just make me excited anyways.
Yeah. Well, we have some spots left. 3 are sold out. One of them only has 1 spot left. And then there's 2 that we still have availability. So intensives are 3-hour sessions, and they're 12 people per class. Because we want to keep it intimate, very hands-on. It's you with the person leading the intensive, and 11 other colleagues. And in past years, we've run it in line with the conference, but this year we've actually dedicated a whole separate day to the intensive, so that people, it is a bit of an extra ticket price, but it's because that's all going to the speaker. We're flying these people in specifically for the intensive, so that's why it's an additional cost. And we're doing it the day before so that you don't have to miss any of the regular conference programming. We've got everything from VO 101, which is, I think, going to be so invaluable. If there's people coming to the conference who are just new to voiceover, it was intended to give you just a full wrap your head around the foundations of voiceover, so that when you come into the weekend, you're going to get even more value from the weekend, because all these terms, all these little things that you might not have known before, you're already going to know them. So when someone tells you about something, you already understand what they're talking about, so you can get more value out of it. We have narrating audiobooks. We have the self-direction intensive, but that's sold out. We have a few. Yeah, they're great. I think, I mean, it's a little bit of an add-on price, but I just think they're so invaluable to your overall conference experience, and they just bring the whole thing to the next level.
So I'm seeing a lot of the companies and your sponsors who come to this are a number of people that I've worked with in the past. And it kind of gets me a little bit excited when I see companies like Isotope, and I finally learned how to use, their RX products to take all the clicks out of my mouth and to take the noise out of the room and to do all sorts of, extra things. I'm thinking about ear-blowing audio productions. We'll say hi to Eric. It's
Hi, Eric.
part of the Bills Mafia, and he makes incredible demos. For instance, I know Uncle Roy is going to be there. Uncle Roy, just seeing Uncle Roy,
he's our tech director.
Yeah, exactly. So if you work in voiceover, there's just so many people here that are coming together, for this. But it's also a good time. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, we have 55 speakers, and we're flying people in from literally all over the world for this. Tanya mostly curates the speakers, and because she's an agent, she has access to all these people that typical voice actors wouldn't. We take pride in we don't populate our panels with people who are trying to sell their goods. We specifically cherry pick people who might not normally come to conferences because they don't have anything to gain from it, but because they know Tanya, she's like, come on, like, you are so great at this. And a lot of the times they're like, okay, yes, because they just want to give back to the community.
Yeah, I think it's really important to point out that I think I've never been pitched. I think that was the thing that surprised me the first time I went, and the second time, and when we did the online thing together, is there's no pitching. There's nothing really to pitch anyway, because it's really a community, and trying to, I think working together has really been sort of the mantra of the business. So,
yeah. Just we want people who are the top of their game in whatever field they're speaking on, and that they're genuinely there to give back, not to sell a service or, but on the other hand, our sponsors who do have services that target voice actors, we're also very particular in who we partner up with. So we actually stand behind each and every one of them. And we think that what they do sell, product or service, is great. We wouldn't be anywhere without the sponsors. Thank you.
I do notice that you have a session involving Actra, and listen, we see this all the time online. Should I, join Actra or SAG or anything like that? So you're also going to be answering questions about how to, maybe maneuver your way towards a union, and maybe taking a little bit of an exit in your career, or taking a different pathway.
And whether that's right for you. I mean, depending on what type of voiceover you want to do, the union does or does not make sense. I mean, if you want to do animation, absolutely, the union, I would say, personally, I mean, just my opinion, would be the way to go. But if you want to do commercial, explainer videos, e-learning, all that stuff, there's so much non-union work out there, especially in e-learning and explainer videos. I would almost argue that there's more non-union work. So again, just my opinion, not fact, but this is what I believe, at least. Yeah. So yeah, but that's what that panel is there to address, right? Like, what do you get from joining the union? Why is it a good idea? Or why is it maybe not right for you?
we got deep into the weeds in this conversation. Like, we both do voiceover, but if you're thinking about doing this as a career, or just you've started it, you bought a microphone, you want to level up, or maybe you haven't even started at all, I think it's important to point out that VO North is a great place to start, just to come and see everybody and ask questions, because everybody there is very giving of their time and their knowledge and sharing, and not just the people who are going to be on stage, but just other voice talent in the
Yeah,
room.
absolutely. I mean, the reason why I started it, obviously bring the community together in a format where they can learn, but because I've gotten so much from voice conferences. It's just like, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, because where you're at, you'll just absorb what information brings you to the next step, but what information that you understand, right? So if you're very experienced, you'll understand more nuances in the conversation. If you're newer, you're still going to get a ton of value. You're going to learn what to do next. Yeah, I think conferences are, you just get so much, even if it just gives you a motivational boost and you book one more job that you wouldn't have booked otherwise, that pays it off right there, the price of the ticket. So that's how I look at it too. I mean, I always learn so much, but if at the very least it just motivates you to do 3 more auditions or something, and you book one, and there you go, at least you broke even and you met a bunch of really great people, because the voiceover industry is super friendly. Everyone's helpful.
Dervla, thanks so much for taking time out of this holiday weekend to talk about this. I'm going to assume, by the way, that I'm just to say, go to vonorth.com, and
Yeah.
everything that you need to know is there, and off you go. And you can register and come see you.
Yeah, it's in less than 2 weeks. Looking forward to it. It's good. I'm very excited for this year. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's our last year for other reasons. But yeah, so I guess kind of now or never. It's the only one in Canada. No, sorry. It's the biggest one in Canada.
Well,
Because
congratulations to you and Tanya for doing it. And VO North is going to be taking place September 16th through the 18th. And it's going to be awesome.
Thanks for having me on, Matt.